Well, Brad, we're back again. All right.
More fun.
More fun, that's right. How many resources are really out there and available to them? And what difference does it make if I go to this one name brand to this name brand? They all look like they have a little bit of different character, but how do I know? And what's the difference?
There's really not much of a difference, with the exception of some of the larger name brands that have been doing it just longer. The products that they make probably have a little better quality to them, but as far as how they're made, how they're produced, what they're made from, the minerals and the quartz products that they're made from out of the ground, a lot of it's the same.
All right, so you're saying there's not a lot of difference, but yet there are nuances to each fabricator, manufacturer.
Yeah, I mean the way the process in which the engineered stone or quartz slabs are produced, all very similar, same technology. Different manufacturers. If we're going to get way down into the weeds, there's some technology that came out of Italy years ago that developed the process.
Oh.
And made by a company called Breton Technology. And a lot of the quartz lines that are producing slabs, if you hear the name Breton, it's Breton made, or the Breton Technology made. That's basically signals that it's actually a really high quality process, as opposed to knockoffs and things that are made overseas that aren't necessarily exactly the same, with the same technology, the same equipment. So that's where a little bit of the differences could be. But everything that we have on the floor here, and we have probably, I'm going to guess 14 brands of engineered stone or quartz. We stand behind all these products. Doesn't matter where they're made, in different parts of the world.
Wow.
We've tried to weed out other brands that we know we've had issues with in the past.
Right. What would be some of those issues? What are we paying attention to when we're talking about this quartz, this man-made quartz, which is actually made from quartzite? It's crushed, right? Mm-hmm. It's actually, so it is really
quartz
natural,
crystals.
Right. It's natural stone, but we put our little mark on it as a human, right?
Sure. 7% of everything that's in the percentages can vary a little bit, but about 7% is a resin or an epoxy binder that actually holds all of it together. And obviously you see from all of the colors and samples and things that we have in here, the color palettes and the designs are endless at this point with what's being made.
Yeah, I can see it just looking around.
I compare it to what used to be some limited colors, limited designs. It's now like picking a paint color. It's really literally that now.
Yeah, that's a good parallel. It really is. I know that also there's tolerances, like heat tolerances, flexibility tolerances, which
sure.
I think that a lot of the issues with our natural stone were overcome with our man-made quartz. Wasn't that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, it was really the negative sell when quartz came onto the market years ago. The negative sell against natural stone was natural stone stains.
Right.
It'll grow bacteria and all these things that really have proven not to be that true.
Right.
So quartz, engineered stone quartz it's stain resistant for the most part. Mm-hmm. Some of the new colors that are very white in background, it won't stain all the way in, but it'll lay on the surface and give a different appearance.
Oh.
But
okay.
it's mostly stain resistant. Definitely heat is a factor. You can't take a hot pan off your stove and put it right onto or you shouldn't. But even the technology with that, they're advancing the technology so that the ability to probably be able to do that in the future is probably not that far away.
So you
is my guess.
I'm sorry. Can you do that with granite though?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had granite in my house that I built 20 years ago. I had it up until recently. I put quartz in, but I took hot pans off the granite. I mean, took hot pans off the stove and put on the granite all the time. If you talk to the Marble Institute of America, they'll tell you do not take a hot pan and put it on natural stone. But that's not really
Wasn't
the reality.
going to say it, but,
Yeah.
but the quartz though doesn't quite have that same tolerance though.
It does not.
Okay.
Yeah, and the heat can burn it. It's because of the resin,
okay. All
because of the
right.
resin or the epoxy
Sure.
in the material. It can burn it or discolor it, or it can even crack it if it's hot enough. It could even like thermal shock it and crack it.
I know in our show past, when we talked about the logistics of how we actually, you actually fabricate the products, I want to make mention again of it's not just granite and quartz that we have available, but it's a multiple different hard surfaces. And again, we're talking about soapstone, marble, quartzite, actual real quartz, quartzite. What else do we have?
Slate,
Limestone,
travertine, dolomites. That's all in the natural stone categories. But then the other man-made categories
go for it.
Are porcelain.
Okay.
And basically those fall kind of all into a category of a sintered product, which just means it's a combination of porcelain, glass, epoxy, that actually make it up, and then it's got an imprinted surface on the surface of it.
A top coat.
So our floor in here was the original porcelain that was brought into Cleveland about 7 or 8 years ago, and it looks like the real thing, and it's endured these last 7 or 8 years on my showroom floor, or at least part of it, and it's a unique product, but it's the wave that's coming in our industry. It's like the next big thing of how it's being applied, showers, floors.
Yeah, I saw that you had it in a shower here in the showroom.
We do.
But also, what's remarkable about this porcelain, we think of porcelain like a porcelain tile, a 12 by 12 or maybe a 12 by 24, but good gravy, how big are these?
They're on average, we'll just use a nominal number. They're about 5 feet tall by 10 feet long.
Wow.
And so they're basically a giant or large format tile is basically what they are.
Yeah.
And they come in different thicknesses as well. So like 1/4 inch thick, actually less than 1/4 now. Some of the manufacturers make them even thinner, really for wall applications, showers. It makes it very easy for guys to handle it, install it. You're not dealing with the weight. But it's a tricky product, and we're constantly learning, and we've been doing it as long, if not longer, than anyone in this region, and we're constantly learning new things. But technology and the way we produce it is catching up to the material itself, so it's going to become even easier to make. But it's certainly not an easy product, and it's not a cost-effective product, not just yet, but it's getting there.
Well, you and I have had a couple of projects together that we've tried really, really hard.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful outcome, but to get it to be that outcome, almost as if that millimeter isn't enough for the perfection of the look. And that's really, really challenging.
For sure. I mean, every time we bring a porcelain job back in the shop, everybody's like, "Oh no!"
I can only imagine.
But the end result is it's amazing.
Oh, it is amazing. And you have one here in the showroom that we can show. Yeah, we'll get you a shot of that so you can actually see the physical application on a countertop with an actual leg. All right, so you have so much more in here. Let's go take a look. Brad, in this area, you show even more diversified materials that you offer. For me, my clients, their panic attack is always about the backsplash. Because you've picked out this gorgeous granite or stone, you've got cabinetry already installed, your wall colors are selected, everything's done, and now you've got the backsplash. And the key component to a backsplash is that you don't want it to take away from the granite. So you've either focused on the beauty of the granite and the creativity of it, or you're going to make your backsplash the standout part, and your granite's going to complement the backsplash. But it is a process to come up with that whole and application, and where do you apply the backsplash? That's my number one thing that I get asked actually about a backsplash is, where do I put it? Do I put it on every wall? Do I put it behind, or do I just put it behind what space? So I know you guys deal with this all the time.
Yeah. Again, like we spoke, I think in our previous segment, you can have it anywhere you want to have it. And I don't think there's any right or wrong in any of it. It really comes down to personal preference. I know we get asked a lot, well, should I do a 4-inch, whatever my countertop material is, should I do 4 inches up and then tile? And I always like to tell people, do tile from the countertop all the way to the bottom of the cabinet. But that's why we deal with a lot of great design professionals like yourself.
Thank you.
That have your own ideas about where to put backsplashes. So I usually don't have much of an opinion on that. But we can obviously, we offer so many things and we can do so many different things with it.
Well, backsplash,
leave it to your imagination, that's what I say.
Sure, and a backsplash doesn't mean it has to be a porcelain tile. It could be a natural stone.
Sure.
It could be mosaic. It can take on a life of its own. But keeping in mind, what did we just do with that hard surface? So I wanted to point out something that's very unique here. So my eyes were drawn right to this. I could not help myself. This is just amazing. Here's another one. Look at these. Aren't they beautiful? So, all right, talk to me a little bit about this, Brad.
This hits very close to home. These are hand painted by my daughter, who is super creative, super talented, and she has come up with all these different designs, and she can create anything really. And if someone has something that they see that they want to try to recreate or apply, she can probably do it. But these are all hand painted, can clean it. It's kind of a baked on process. So it is really very, very unique.
So I can actually clean it. I don't have to panic about taking the design off of that tile.
Correct.
Well, here is the fun part about this. So one might think that that is extraordinarily expensive and extravagant, and that you can't have that be part because it's just a little bit too over the edge. But the truth is, when you do it just right, you only need a few pieces to make an amazing impact. And that allows you the same luxury that everyone else has. And it's unique to you just by doing a few pieces here and there on a pretty basic tile. I love the idea of interactive. And you have so many beautiful pieces of tile here, and we can use them together, creating a very unique look for people.
And really important to know that it's also, again, very price point. We have some things that are very price point conscious, and we have things that are like super extravagant and expensive. It just comes down to your budget, your taste, but we have something for everyone here.
And even the extravagant parts, like we're saying right now, we don't need to do a whole wall of that. I did want to talk about that. When we talk about backsplashes, people sometimes they think, okay, not only where do I apply it, do I apply it to the standard 4 inches? Do I apply it all the way up the wall? Where do I stop it? Does it end at my cabinetry? All of that goes into consideration. I don't know what your rule of thumb is, but for me, and I don't follow very many rules, but I like to go with the contours of the actual countertop. So where the countertop stops, that's where we stop. And I like to finish the picture. I like to see that beautiful tile that you just selected all the way up, all the way to the ceiling, all the way so that it makes that great impact. But it doesn't have to be on the entire span of the countertop. It can be just over maybe it's over your stove area. Maybe it's just over your sink area, or maybe you featured it on your bar area. There are so many different ways to make an impact, but the most important part is to create a picture that reflects where it is that you want to be and the atmosphere that you want to feel in your home, so that it makes you happy, excited, the goosebumps. And Brad sure does offer a lot of that here. All right, I know there's one more area I want to touch base on that we are kind of new to, but it is part of what you offer here, and that's large format of tiles. So let's go take a look at what you've got.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk large format. So this is kind of new in the industry, right?
Sure.
These big, huge tiles. And even these tiles that we have over here, this is even larger than normal. I mean, I thought it was fun when we came up with 12-inch by 24-inch. And then we had 24-inch by 24-inch. And now this is 36. This
12
is
by 36.
12 by
there,
36.
yeah.
This is crazy, but
Yeah.
this is even larger.
Yeah, these are 18 by 48s, I believe.
Wow.
And they can even, I think they even make them even a little bit longer than that as well. It's all really designed to reduce maintenance with grout.
That makes so
Yeah.
much sense. Isn't that the number one concern?
Sure.
And especially in a shower, if the grout isn't maintained, that's where the water gets in. A lot of people don't understand.
And discolors too.
Yeah, it's not necessarily always your drain, but a lot of times it's the grout. And you do not want to be regrouting your bathroom or your shower every year.
Yeah.
It's just not practical.
Right.
Nor fun.
Yeah.
So when we talk about large format, and again, we showed your shower, those are those huge slabs that we just talked about earlier that can be applied on the floor, it can be applied on the walls, and it can, I know this is not what you want to, but it can be eventually a countertop.
Yes, they can.
And I know you've had some success. I just know that
Yeah.
it's an art form to get that porcelain large format to really do its real trick, and that's look perfect. So I know that
Sure.
that's very challenging.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we spoke earlier, you know, it's the porcelain for countertops, depending on the thickness, there's a whole list of variables that we have to take into consideration if we're going to do countertops out of porcelain material.
Sure.
Again, back to technology. The technology is increasing at a rapid rate, so they're starting to make it in thicker materials now. So the porcelain, the first generation that we ever saw was a 1/4 inch thick. Now they're making it an even 3/4 inch thick, and even now they're even developing 1 1/4 thick.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
Of porcelain?
Yeah, of porcelain.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Now the production of it and the cutting of it and how long it will take us to cut it
Oh.
and process it, that's a whole different ballgame. But the technology of how they're fabricating or how they're manufacturing it is changing every day.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
It really is. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to point out the different variations of pattern and also the surface design. A lot of people ask me, where do they come up with these ideas? And of course, we automatically just know that they mimic stone, natural stone. Even though it's porcelain, it looks very real and it's easier to clean and maintain. But they also take photos of Mother Earth. So literally the earth, but the moon, the rock formations all over the world, and they impregnate those onto the surface. And that's how they get a lot of these unique patterns. And then on top of that, there's these are fabric. This is from fabric. You know this tweed. This is tweed from fabric. So the imagination is just there's no limit to it right now. And it's all being applied to this porcelain tile. And now we're walking on it and we're surrounded by it and we're, in our bathrooms with it, in our kitchens with it. I just absolutely love the idea of the versatility of what it is that we've incorporated, taking from Mother Earth and putting it into our home in more ways than just putting a nice plant in your home. Believe it or not, even though this isn't as you think of a stone product, but it is a natural product, and we're bringing that feeling, our semblance with Mother Nature into our homes for an amazing life experience and a great adventure. All right, Brad, you did a great job. This has been amazing. And I love, you have such a variety. I can't even begin to think that I would ever run out of options in your showroom. So thank you so much for being excited about it. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Yeah.
And I know that we'll be back again.
Sounds great.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.